I'm Lisa Federico, and this is Inside Northwest Columbus. After spending decades in corporate marketing, I traded boardrooms for backyards because the best stories are happening right here at home. Every week, you'll meet entrepreneurs, creatives, and everyday neighbors doing extraordinary things across Worthington and Northwest Columbus. So let's jump into this week's conversation. Welcome to Inside Northwest Columbus. I'm your host, Lisa Federico. Thank you so much for joining me. All month long, we are focusing on food and beverage, which is near and dear to my heart. But today, I am so overjoyed to welcome Tricia Wheeler, who is the owner of the Seasoned Farmhouse, located right here in Northwest Columbus. Tricia, welcome.
I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
I'm so excited to have you. And we have so much to talk about.
Yes,
between food and travel and cooking school and your background. This is just, food and beverage is like front and center for me. So I'm just thrilled for you to be here.
Thank you.
So let's jump right into it. Can you take us through your journey into food and how, what inspired you to become a chef and open the Seasoned Farmhouse? I want to hear all of it.
Well, thank you. Well, my childhood was really the beginning. My grandmother was a wonderful cook. My mother was a wonderful cook. My mother was a single mom going to law school at night and working during the day, but her one luxury was going to the grocery store and buying anything she wanted. So our trips to the grocery store would go on and on and on. And my mom, she would cook artichokes for us, and she would cook just beautiful food. And so I loved it. And when I was graduating high school, I said to my parents, I said, I want to go to culinary school. And at that time, it was a hard life to be a chef. And they said, I think it's a hobby. You have to do something else. And so I followed their advice, and I had a whole different career. And the whole time that I had that career, I just kept reading cookbooks, cooking for friends, entertaining. And when business was acquired, my husband looked at me, he goes, what do you want to do? And I said, the only thing I've ever wanted to do is go to culinary school. And he's like, you got to do it. So that was the beginning.
So you did that later in life?
I did.
Oh, wow. And
my daughter was two. I wanted to go to this school in New York City, and my husband goes, fly up there. And I went and make sure. And I went up there, and I took one step into their cookbook library and thought it was my happiest place. It was this sunlit room in Soho with beautiful books, the nicest librarian, and the students kept bringing her all these tastes of the things that they were cooking. And I was looking around thinking, this is just like my best place. And so I moved to New York for the year. My mother came, watched my 2-year-old daughter. My husband commuted up on weekends, and it was my chance to go to school. And so I appreciated it so much, getting to do it a later stage of life. And I took advantage of everything.
Oh, my goodness. And you were number one in your class.
Yes, that happened. That was a surprise. So at the beginning, I'll tell you how it started. I was trying so hard, and it was, when you imagine culinary schools and all the scariness that comes with them, that was what mine brought. It was a high level, competitive, wonderful energy, French chefs who wanted perfection out of us. And I was so nervous. Lisa, I was like, I think I sweated in places you shouldn't sweat. I mean, I was so nervous. And so my chef said to me when I first got there, he goes, what'd you do before you got here? And I said, I had a business in Ohio. He goes, because you're so awkward. And I was like, I'm awkward? I'm trying so hard. He goes, you grabbed the wrong dish. You cut this wrong. You don't know this pan. And I'd never stepped foot in a commercial kitchen.
Right.
I'd never been a waitress. This was besides being a home cook and entertainer, this was my first entree into this world. And so he said, listen, he goes, your dishes taste good, and I can't teach that. He goes, so having a good palate is really important. You can learn the fundamentals. And he's like, watch this person. They've been sous chefs in New York City. They know the ropes. Just get the fundamentals down. And so I took his advice, and throughout the whole journey of culinary school, I didn't know where I was in the standings, but I never missed a day. I knew how much I wanted to be there and that it was a gift to do it at any stage of my life. And when they announced that at the end, I ended up winning everything. I won every award that year. And my friend Ed, he looked at me, and it was the year that Slumdog Millionaire had just swept the Grammys and all the awards. He goes, "You're Slumdog Millionaire." And I had to give this little speech. And I was like, I said, I know why that this kind of came about was because of how much gratitude I have to be in a place that I've always wanted to be, doing something I've always dreamed of doing and learning. And I thought right there, I want to bottle that energy up and bring it back to my hometown. And then that's what started the seeds for the cooking school and started my journey back to Ohio.
What an opportunity.
Yes.
And so when you went to the Culinary Institute,
yes,
what was your aspiration? Were you looking to open a restaurant or work in a commercial kitchen?
Well, no. I had sold my first company. I had this new, I'm a new mom. And my husband goes, this was really cute. He goes, "Listen, if you just go and make me great dinners the rest of our lives, this is a good investment for you.
My husband would say the same
and you're
thing.
happy. This is a win." So, so I did not go really with any preconceived ideas. I was offered a job in New York right out of the day of my exam. I was offered a job in New York, and I was like, "Sorry, can't do it. Promised I'd come home." That's when I first started to. I picked up the first copy of Edible Manhattan right in that last week in New York. It was the first time the publication had come out, and I thought I could bring this back to Columbus and learn about food. And so that was my first step. It was like, okay, what are we growing? Who's who in our community? What artisans are doing what? I just, I wanted to learn all that. So the magazine gave me a beautiful landscape to really start to dig into what is here, what's in Ohio.
And so Edible, it was called Edible Columbus.
Yes.
Yep.
And it was a family of magazines all over the country.
Yeah.
And you were basically telling the story of local food in your community.
Fantastic.
Yes.
Okay, so now you're in the grind of having a magazine.
Yes.
And I'm sure you love it. I love it as well.
I was very green at it at the beginning.
Yeah,
it was,
me too.
Yes, I was very green at the beginning, but I had a passion for sharing information and I love telling people stories too. And so trying to, meet as many people as I could, learn about them, learn about the community was like kind of a joy to put down on paper. And I thought the piece that I could bring to it was the recipes. I could take our local produce. I could turn that into easy to manage home recipes. And so that's how it kind of started.
That's incredible. Okay, so then how did that transition into your idea? Where did that come from for the Seasoned Farmhouse? Before you answer, here's what I love about it. At the Seasoned Farmhouse, it's not only like a venue for gathering.
Yes.
And when you have a magazine, it's all about you love building that community.
Yes.
So at
much.
Seasoned Farmhouse, not only is it seasonal and you have the garden, so you're using things right from the garden,
Yes.
but it's also bringing community together. And now you've incorporated travel and the cooking school. It's we are so lucky to have you in Northwest Columbus.
Thank you so much.
But tell me how you got from the magazine to Seasoned Farmhouse.
Yes. So I feel like the combination of what you're describing is just all the things that I have loved my whole life. And somehow I've been lucky enough to put all those pieces together over the years. And I truly feel like what I do is so true to who I am at home, at work. It's the same. It's in alignment. So how it kind of evolved was I was doing the magazine. I was learning more. But alongside of it, just coming out of culinary school, I wanted to teach people what I'd learned. I was so excited about what I'd learned because I was like, halfway through it, I'm doing the most in-depth recipes. I mean, duck à l'orange. I mean, Genoa cakes. I mean, all the French classics I'm learning. I have these wonderful deans. Jacques Pepin is my dean. Andre Soltner is my dean.
Oh,
the
my
gentlemen of French cooking were my mentors and my deans. And I remember being in the walk-in cooler with Jacques Pepin and him saying to me, I was following him around because he was putting aspic onto a piece of fish, which would be like a jelly.
Right.
And he was making a design. And I was mesmerized. It'd be the thing that would be on a gourmet magazine back in the, 60s or something. But I was like, oh my gosh, he's doing this. And I have pictures of his hands because it was just so artful. And I remember him saying something to me. He's like, never be afraid of the classics. Fusion leads to confusion and stuff. And that's what I love, the classics. So when I came back and I started, I was like, I want to teach just good classic French technique, make things better, make things taste better by good techniques. And so I started this little series I called the Edible Cooking Series. And I was lucky enough to have one of my advertisers in my homes give me their design center kitchen at Easton, and I started this little series. And I'd print it up in the magazine. It'd be like 6 classes, and it got really popular.
Oh my goodness.
So what happened was I had it all came to a head over the heirloom tomato class. So Lisa, I love to say yes to people. That's one of my things. If I can say yes, I will. I am a yes person. I try to make people happy. And so I do this and not keep track of all the details. I'm not quite as detailed. I need people around me. Mm-hmm. And so I was telling yes to everybody. Can I bring 2 people who are coming from the symphony? Of course. And so this class turned into where I had every seat. I have a farmer, an heirloom tomato farmer with me. We have all these heirloom tomatoes. We're going to do a tasting. I'm going to make these recipes. And I have people who just keep coming and coming. I don't even have seats for them all. I finally had to grab $100 out of my purse and go ask the 4 people that had walked in that I probably told yes to, can you go out to dinner and email me? Go out on me, email me, and I will get you into class. And I am so sorry. I don't know what I've done.
You didn't have enough seats or tomatoes.
I don't have seats or tomatoes. Exactly. So at that point, I came home, told my husband the story. I said, I need my own place. And so that is what I kind of outgrew that beginning. And I said, we got to figure out something. And so I started to look, and I was living in Upper Arlington at the time and couldn't find anything that matched there. But we found this dilapidated old house in Clintonville, and we purchased that. And I said, it was an old dentist office, and my husband's a visionary, and he's very good with real estate and construction and has his own remodeling business. And I kept saying, are you sure we can open this up? And he's like, I'm sure. So it turned into the farmhouse.
And it is beautiful.
Thank you.
It's just
beautiful. It feels timeless. Luckily I chose something that 12 years later, when I walk through the doors, I'm totally as happy as the first day I walked in.
Good for you.
So
hold on. Before we get back to the show, I've got to tell you what's coming in November. Our Thankful issue is packed with stories of gratitude and the incredible people who make Northwest Columbus shine. And here on the podcast, you'll hear conversations that'll leave you inspired and proud to call this community home. Hit subscribe so you don't miss out, and snag your free digital copy in the show notes below. So explain for our viewers who might not know anything at all about the Seasoned Farmhouse, what is the experience? What can they expect when they walk in?
So the Seasoned Farmhouse is at heart a French farmhouse where we teach cooking classes. And we do a variety of different classes every season. We have a schedule that comes out with the seasons. And one of our, I think, things that we've done well is that we change all of our classes every season. And I let my chefs that work with me and my cooks decide what they want to teach. I don't tell them. I was like, follow your passions. And so that brings in a whole mix of different culinary ideas and excitement. And we all put on our schedule, and then it turns around and it's different the next season. And so that's been our formula there to have the classes. And when we're not busy with the class, we welcome private events, and we welcome corporate events. And we do all things like to just spread our knowledge in the kitchen, from hands-on classes to demonstration to make and take things, workshops, half days, full days, series, all kinds of things.
It's just, it's amazing. And you know what I love about it? It's very intimate. It's not like you're walking into like a big restaurant. It really is about teaching and community in a smaller environment.
And it was funny, when I first opened it, I thought, oh my gosh, do I have enough space? And somehow we have managed to turn that square room into 50 different configurations, in all different. And then when we find a new configuration, we're like, we found a new configuration. Like, we can't even believe all the things we could do in that one room with one kitchen.
Well,
and stuff.
It is perfect for like corporate events and smaller types of parties, and just even the cooking school aspect of it is just.
Thank you so much. Yeah. And my goal always, my favorite thing, Lisa, is like, if we can set the room so beautifully that people walk in and go, I always listen for it.
And they do.
That's what I want. I want them. And we try to like use everything we grow, and we try to do beautiful tablescaping. And we have a beautiful collection of all kinds of mismatched chinas and flatwares and objects. And I love objects. I'm a maximalist. I've accepted.
I love that.
When we got the farmhouse at a full basement, I told my husband, I'm never saying no to any china I love. And so
bring it on.
Yes. And people now have caught on to that, and they give us their collections.
Oh my.
And so we have been the recipients of beautiful china, beautiful cookbook collections, gourmet magazine collections, and people don't have someone to pass it on. And they're like, Tricia, would you like my grandmother's china? And I'm like, of course we would. And then we try to do this thing where we try, if we can, when they're coming to class, we try to set their flatware or the china or something with them. So, and I say, you can always come back and get it. Like, if you want it, we'll hold it and use it until you have some need in your life.
So that garden is spectacular.
Thank you.
How did the garden come about, and how did that play into like the whole seasonal theme, right, that you bring, no pun intended, to the table?
Well, my vision was always to connect the home kitchen and the garden. And I think of the French legacy of their kitchen gardens and their potager gardens. And they were really rustic places right out the front door or right out the door of a French home where vegetables were growing. And they could gather them, they could simmer them, make them into a potage soup, and that soup would nourish them. And so that simple act of growing something yourself, watching it through the seasons, cooking it has always been just the connection for me. And so we wanted to have that experience for our guests. So we grow all kinds of things. We'll grow vegetables. We'll grow our flowers that we'll use on the tables. We grow our herbs, and we change it every year. My favorite thing to grow is my pumpkins. So the pumpkins love my soil. Yeah. And I've grown these heirloom pumpkins that literally bring me so much pleasure. Oh. And those pumpkin vines are so romantic. I encourage everyone to put some pumpkin seeds in the ground and grow some vines. I mean, they wrap and they twirl and they have beautiful leaves, and I love that connection.
And I love how the garden is such an integral part, right, of the Seasoned Farmhouse. And when guests come for cooking school or for an event, it's part of the whole experience.
Yes, very much so. And even in the winter, sometimes we're putting hoops over it and trying to keep our herbs alive. And it's just like, I just think that connection for people, whether it's small in a patio garden, if it's in pots, if you're growing something you love, if it's flowers, just that, it brings a lot of pleasure. Yeah. I learned it from I saw it with my great grandmother. Took her whole backyard when I was growing up, and it turned into, the beginning of it was all roses and the back was fruit trees. And she would be out there, and we'd pull in, and she'd say, I'm in the garden. It's better than therapy. It's better than going to the doctor. And that was what we would hear. And I was like, she's so right. And she lived a long, beautiful life. And every gift we ever gave her was the rose bushes. And so lines and lines and lines of beautiful garden roses.
And then that's why you love roses so well.
Yes.
Yeah.
We pass it on. Those loves that we have, we pass on, you know.
I do agree.
So
I love that.
Yeah.
So many people are so intimidated by entertaining.
Yes.
And yet you do it all the time.
Yes.
So can you talk to us a little bit about, how to calm those nerves?
Yes.
And what are some tips when you're entertaining? Like, what are some things that you've learned that might help exactly.
Yes. Yeah. I get this question. I think about this question a lot because I think there's no greater gift you can give someone than to cook for them. Yeah. It's the simplest of gift. It nourishes them. It nourishes you. Bringing people around the table is just such a kind and loving thing to do, and it doesn't have to be complex. So I think there was an era of American cooking where we saw it on the magazine covers, and it was being influenced by European cooking and the gourmet magazines that I've mentioned, the Bon Appetits, and we would see the elaborateness of a recipe. And I think there was a time and place, and I think I should have been back in that era, but there was a time and place where that was celebrated. But now with our lives, the way they've moved and the busyness and the complexities and everything we have on our plate, I think that if people can find something they love and they can get really good at one or two things and it become their signature way to entertain, that's what I try to encourage. Like my friend is not a cook. One of my very best friends, not a cook. She's an interior designer and she sets the most exquisite tables. But what she does love to make is gazpacho. So she treats us to this gazpacho party every summer, and she makes the gazpacho. No one makes it as good as her, and she sets her beautiful table and she entertains that way. So that is her signature thing. And so I'm always encouraging people, if it's something that you love, your friends and your loved ones will love it too. Yeah. If you are the best maker of chicken piccata, make chicken piccata at every party. If you love to make, a seafood boil and put everything into the pot and let people be rustic and take a scoop out of the pot, how beautiful. Yeah. So I just think if you dig down into things that matter to you and become good at that, then don't overcomplicate it.
And then you're not so stressed out about.
And do things if you're a really good cook and you like to challenge yourself when guests come over with new recipes, I love that too. But for everyday entertaining, I used to do this thing at Halloween. I'd have all my neighbors before the kids would go off, and it was just chili. I mean, it was chili and toppings, and everybody's over. So I have a ritual with a dear friend of mine, and we always do tea together. I'm coming, back and forth. We're like, when's tea? And that's our thing. And one of us can either bake a little something or go to a bakery and just put out good tea. I remember she was coming for tea and I was running around like crazy. I'm like, oh no, I have tea today. And so I had beautiful tangerines and a great bar of chocolate from Europe. That's what I sold with tea, right? Who doesn't love a little like orange and chocolate together and a spiced tea? And I was entertaining, and it took me 5 minutes. So try not to put the pressure on yourself. Try not to add the stress to your life. Try to look at it as something joyful, something you're gifting, and something that you will enjoy doing.
Yeah. Okay, so I have to ask, because this is my number one issue.
Yes.
When I do large family gatherings, right? There's always this issue of timing, right? For everything that you're making.
Yes.
I probably spend an hour or so just thinking through, okay, when does this have to go into the oven? When do I have to start this? Tell me about how you learn to get all that and keep it together when you are doing like a major menu.
Yes, I teach this. I teach a Thanksgiving sides where I give people a blueprint of exactly what to do for the holiday to make it less stressful and what they can do a day or two or three ahead. So I think it starts with a good menu. When you're, a menu that's achievable, something that has all the components that you can shop a couple days ahead, then you can make a couple things ahead, and that you can just slowly up until the event be doing in pieces and parts of the menu. So it's not just like kitchen's crazy, you're crazy, and you're trying to get everything timed out right. I mean, I love the extra tools of, being able to warm something in your crock pot or slow cooker. I like an air fryer. I like, salads that you can make, a grain salad you can make a day before and it tastes better the next day that you serve it. I like simplicity for those kinds of gatherings. And I also think don't take it all on yourself. Ask somebody to bring something.
Yeah, that's a hard one for me.
Just say when they offer, because everyone does, just say, yes, would you bring a nibble for when people arrive that we'll put out? Oh, would you mind bringing a dessert? I'd love,
Yep.
Take something off your plate if you have those kinds of family and guests that offer.
Yeah. And then what could people expect from your cooking classes? Like you mentioned that you teach people how to plan, right? And how to organize the menu. Tell us about some of the other classes and some of the things coming up in your classes.
Yes. So we just had a schedule come out yesterday. And for some lucky reason, we sell out our classes quickly. I mean, our classes sell out.
You got to jump like quickly.
But we have this Be the First to Know on our website. And if you just put your email in there, we will send out our notice that our classes are coming out to that list 4 times a year. So that's helpful. And at our classes, gosh, there's something for everyone. I really feel that. I mean, we have Sunday suppers, which are a series where they're cooking in the afternoon and then having this Sunday supper together. And and then I'm teaching, like on the next class, I'm teaching a full day workshop because I kind of thought about it. I was like, I think people would maybe like to escape for a day out of their lives. And I'm sending them home with dinner. So we're going to have a breakfast, a lunch, and then they're leaving with dinner. So,
wow.
And then I can do things that take a little bit longer. Like we're going to slow cook a tomato sauce all day that we're going to turn into a very traditional lasagna with the bechamel and all the layers and all the hard stuff you wouldn't want to do alone in your kitchen. But our assembly line of all of us cooking together will make it easy work. So there's all kinds of things that we do. I mean, if you're into butchery, if you're into grilling, if you're into, we have a couple of cooks that have specialties. Like we have an Italian woman who comes and teaches her Nona's recipes. We have a gentleman who teaches South American recipes where he's from. So we're just really always trying to like take our talents and our passions and line those up with interesting classes.
And you do have such a variety.
Into the home kitchen.
Yeah.
They are all built for the home cook.
Yeah. And I love that about the Seasoned Farmhouse. I just love what you're doing and how you're bringing community together through that.
We say that is our favorite thing, all of us that are involved. Say our favorite thing are the friendships we see happen in the classes, that people then make time to come back to a class together, want to sit with a certain person that they've met in class. And that is just couples who come to our date nights and then now start to go out to dinner together. All kinds of things that feel very magical because they've met at the farmhouse.
Well, didn't get the magazine at home? No problem. You can read it for free by signing up for our digital issues. Just head to the link in the show notes. And hey, if you're just listening to this episode, did you know you can watch it too? Catch the full video on YouTube, link below. Like I said, we're so grateful to have you in our community.
Thank you.
And I want people to know that you're here.
Yes.
Okay, speaking of which, you wrote a book.
Yes.
Called Peaceful Dinners.
Yes.
Tell me about the impetus for the book and who is it good for?
Yes.
Because it's really an entire methodology or a process
It is.
for how to get dinner on the table without making yourself crazy.
Exactly. And, this was something I actually had thought about this during culinary school because I thought my friends struggle. They struggle when they go to the grocery store. They buy the same things. They struggle to, off the cuff come up for an idea of what's for dinner. They struggle with buying things in season and being like, oh, wait, I should shift. I shouldn't make tacos. I should make butternut squash. It just felt like a struggle. And I thought I could make this easier. And so I conceived cookbooks are usually, you open them up and you have to pick. I think the rate is that we make 4 to 5 things out of a cookbook, but I wanted to make a system. And so my system was that if you have a shopping list, it would make it easier to go more peaceful, more joyful to go to the grocery store with a shopping list. And then that is going to turn into 4 great meals you could make over the week, and there would be no waste. So every ingredient that I had you buy would be used in those 4 meals, and they'd all be cost effective, and they'd all be under 30 minutes. So I was trying to hit all of these pieces in one book, and I wanted it also not to be hard to turn pages, look at something on a phone. I wanted it to be in a card format so that you could sit the recipe, you could take the card with you, you could, move the ring around and put your favorite recipes at the front. I wanted it to be flexible. And so that's what I created. And I used the paper that they use at the Coast Guard for things that could get wet. So you could spill your wine on my book and you could wipe it off.
Very thoughtful.
You can cook. Yes, thank you. You could cook and splatter something and wipe it off. And so it's on a unique kind of paper.
And where can people get this book?
So right now they can get it. I just sell it through our website. Mm-hmm. And so it's at theseasonedfarmhouse.com, and it's called Peaceful Dinners. And the idea around it is that's what I want for you, to have a peaceful dinner. I had so many people write in to me after the book came out that it literally changed dinner time for them. It took the stress of busy moms, busy professionals, busy dads. It took that stress and gave them a plan. So that was the whole impetus behind it.
And then do you also teach the same concept?
We have like sheet tray meals and easy get dinner on the table in one pot, soups and salad. We do lots of fundamental courses, but I use the book a lot around private events and would be happy to, do that because I think that I capture those professionals that I think can help, and then we do an event and they receive the book and we cook out of it, and I get to explain the philosophy and hopefully make their life a little easier.
That's wonderful.
Thanks.
Okay, I want to switch gears a little bit because you're doing a lot with travel. And marrying food and travel together, which I'm getting goosebumps, right? Because I love the two.
Yes.
You were talking about an upcoming trip to Morocco. Talk a little bit about how those trips are planned and what people can expect and how do you get in on them?
Okay, so the travel happened really organically. I've been a traveler my whole life. Started when I was 16 as an exchange student for the year in Australia, where I felt like it kind of set a course for myself. Just digging in, that's where I started to say yes. I said yes to everything. And so I learned so much. And then I turned around at 18 and went to Europe and started college late and lived in Europe for 6 months. And so I just had a certain way I like to travel and how I like to plan. And I started to do it for my family, for my husband and my daughter and I. And I would plan our trips and I'd take such joy doing it. And they would be so appreciative at the end of the trips. And my daughter even said, people should get to travel like this, Mommy. Like when she was younger. And then when I would come back to Columbus, so we had a family tradition that we would leave the day after Christmas and go to a different country. Okay. And that was our family tradition for my daughters. She's now in college. That's been our tradition. And I would surprise sometimes. We'd know where we were going and we would try to extend the holiday season. Well, then I would take what I had, the best of it, and I would come back and recreate it for the farmhouse. Oh. So I would call it my Back from Belgium class. And I would do a slideshow. I'd give travel tips. I would bring back artisan jams and honeys and whatever I found in Belgium that I could share taste-wise. And then I would recreate my favorite meal I had. Yeah. And then we'd have this night. And I'd put on the music from Belgium. And I would try to immerse people in a night of that. And right before COVID, people started, to tell me, like, take us with you. And even before that, I was doing trips before that domestically to New York City, and I'd taken already one group to England and stuff. So I started to think about it a little bit more. Yes, I'd love to take you with me. And so it's evolved into just some beautiful destinations around the world that I know really well. And I try to plan like surprises and delight them, and they don't know what's coming, and they trust me, and I love that. And I just try to make the trips unforgettable.
And so if you go on a trip like this, are you in cooking school as well, or are you just sampling? Yes. Like, tell me a little bit about what your itinerary is.
Culture and culinary. And so we are in some cooking classes. We are at Michelin-starred restaurants. We are in somebody's kitchen sometimes trying what their family recipe is. We are touring a castle and then meeting. I have this one coming up. It's a friend of a friend introduced me to a count. And so I have my guests getting a private tour of a castle from a count. So I think the more friends I have abroad who bring a layer of the experience to my guest, it makes it even more enriched and special. Like now I consider my truffle hunter in Italy my friend. And so Massimo will take my guests out, and we go back to his family home, and his sister and his cousin cook for us. And
I want to meet Massimo.
I want you to meet Massimo because he is so darn adorable. And we go out truffle hunting with his dog. And now I just say, Massimo, I'm coming. And he's like, when? And then it's like the relationships that I've built there, and then what I can give to our guests of a very, like, I try to take it down what you'd never find in a tour book or on Instagram. And I try to connect to the people, the land, the place in a very authentic way.
How many people are in a trip? Is
between 14 and 18.
So it's pretty intimate.
Depending on what it is. And we're range of experience. Like last year we went to Champagne country in France and I rented a chateau. And so then I had French chefs come in and do our dinners at night, and we went and learned the history of Champagne by day. And so and we're doing that in Burgundy again. And so I have some travelers that just are looking for me always to have the next thing because they've been on all of them. And then I have other travelers that are coming up who can't wait for the Tuscany experience. So I'm going to do it again next year. So it's again, following the things I know. I'm going on a little scouting trip in September with a cookbook writer in Argentina. And I'm going to go do a trail of artists and foods and learn about everything she wrote about in her cookbook. And we had a connection from growing up, and we've just recently reconnected over this. So I'm so excited about that. That will turn into a trip for my guests down the road. And so that's the kind of thing I'm doing. I'm trying to make it so people can arrive, never have to worry about one thing, never have to plan anything, can come. And we've had all kinds of combinations, solo travelers, couples, mother and daughters, friends, all the combinations we've had. And I love that because I want everyone to feel comfortable. And we've had all different ages. And that's where the magic comes in. And the friendships that have been made on the trips. And when they come into a cooking class and see each other, it's like I need a happy hour before the class starts because everybody's so excited to see one another. And so that's been so rewarding. And I read something that said traveling, with your close family or a friend, increases the happiness level 1 or 2 degrees. But traveling with a small, intimate group that you get to know makes it tenfold.
Oh my goodness. I love that you're taking what you built as part of the intimacy of the Seasoned Farmhouse and now taking it abroad.
Yes.
I got goosebumps just thinking about it.
It's been really special.
Yeah. Tell me about the upcoming Moroccan trip. Yes. That sounds super cool.
So the Moroccan trip is the one that still has a couple spaces available in it. It's our first trip kicking off 2026. And it is a trip so near and dear to my heart. I have fallen in love with that country. It's a feast for the senses. I call it a magic carpet ride for an adult to go to a different fairy tale land. It is, the people are so warm and hospitable. You look into their eyes and you just feel this warmth. I've made such genuine friends in this country, and we are so well taken care of when we're there, and it's just magic. And so I have a 7-day Moroccan adventure trip. We stay in Marrakesh, we go to the sea and Esso area, and then every day it's like fashion with Yves Saint Laurent, who made it his home and his garden. So it's like fashion and food and culture and touring, and it's just very, very neat.
It sounds absolutely amazing.
I feel like people should experience Morocco. It's just deep in my soul now.
Wow. And so your upcoming 2026 trips will be on the website.
They'll be released in the next, I release them usually one at a time and stuff, but they'll be added to our website, either theseasonedfarmhouse.com or my personal site, triciawheeler.com.
Okay.
And people can get on our travel list too. We have a travel list on triciawheeler.com that they can add their name, and then they just get the itineraries first.
Okay. So that's good to know. Yeah. And that will be in the show notes as well. So we'll make sure that everybody has that.
Yeah.
Okay. Final thing that I want to ask you.
Yes.
We've all had disaster dishes that we've made. What was the worst thing you ever made? Or do you have any stories about things that just went wrong?
Oh, gosh.
This way I don't feel so bad that I mess those things up.
Oh gosh, well, I do have one little story. So when I first opened the Seasoned Farmhouse, I got a nice request to host these garden writers that Experience Columbus was bringing in this writers group of garden writers from all the major magazines, and would I host their special dinner. And I was so excited for this opportunity, but it coincided on the same day that my best friend was having her bridal shower. So I was multitasking this whole weekend to fill the farmhouse with flowers, to make this floral-inspired meal, to host my friend's bridal shower. Luckily, that was at Lindy's, and I wasn't cooking for that. But I was doing all this stuff, and I needed my creme brulee to hurry up. And it was my lavender infused creme brulee. And then it was going to have fresh lavender on the side of the plate and from our garden. And I'd infuse the sugar with lavender. I'd infuse the base with lavender, and it wouldn't cook, Lisa. And I had to get to that shower. And so I decided I'm going to speed it up. I'm going to turn up the oven. That was a bad idea. And so I had the loose foil on the top. Well, it started to create moisture. And I finally look at my creme brulee, and it was like pockmarked. It had a little liquid from the moisture. It looked bad. And so at the same time, Claire, a beloved woman who's helped me at the farmhouse the whole time, walks in, and I'm like, Claire, the desserts. And she goes, try one. And I try it, and I'm like, it still tastes good. She goes, do your tricks. And I always tell people you can bring things back. And so I scooped out all the creme brulees. I put them in the blender, blended it all up, made them smooth, put them back in the ramekins, dusted them with sugar, put them back in the oven, and they were perfect. And that night, I knew what I'd gone through and this whole panic and everything. This writer came up to me. He goes, I've eaten all over the world. That was the most sublime, transformational dessert I've ever experienced in my life. And that's what I did. Whew. So I always say, I always tell people, if you have a cake that messes up, if you have make it into a trifle. I make more trifles out of desserts of everything. Layer things up. Don't make it complex for yourself.
Great tip. And just relax, right? Because nobody's going to know.
Serve chocolate. Serve chocolate and fruit.
Can't go wrong there.
Never.
Tricia, this was an absolute pleasure.
Same for me.
I had so much fun.
Me too.
I just love what you're doing.
Thank
and
you.
I love, again, how you're bringing your community together.
Yes, it's the best part.
And when you can do it through food and travel and cooking and, I
truly believe magic happens around the table.
Yeah, I believe that too.
Yes.
And I just am so thrilled that you're here.
Thank you.
For people who want information about your travel programs, your cooking classes, your venues, events, they can reach you at theseasonedfarmhouse.com.
Yes, and anyone's able to email me directly too. It's just Tricia, Tricia, at the Seasoned Farmhouse. I'll help in any way I can.
Great. Such a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us.
I have a little gift for you.
Oh.
So this is from our kitchen to you. And this is our pottery we make. It's a little mixing bowl, our signature candle, and some herbs from our garden.
It is
so thank
so
you
beautiful
for having me today.
And again, I would use this for coffee because I love coffee.
It will make a big pot for you.
Thank you
You're welcome.
so much.
Thank you.
You can get more information about Tricia and the Seasoned Farmhouse. Certainly her book, which sounds incredible.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you next time on Inside Northwest Columbus.
Boxland Media. Think big.